Hello, lovely people. Today we are going to work with this particular photo of me, and it was taken after I had basically pulled up a ton of grass from the garden. Now, I want to use a load of scraps here, so my challenge was really to use up scraps of things, and whether that's paper, alphabet stickers, that kind of thing. So I'm running through my scraps, raiding through my scraps even, just to see what I can find, and I'm looking for colours here. Um, if you haven't worked with sort of colour wheels before or colours, don't worry too much about it. Don't get hung up on getting the right colour. Look at what feels right to you, what looks right to you visually, um, and experiment with some of them because that will give you far more than trying to stick to the rules of colour wheels. And rules are there to be broken. Now, for this particular page, like I said, I want to scrap this photo, and I'm going to scrap it with the photo in the bottom right hand corner. Um, Creative decisioning, just it's the way it worked for me in my head, and there was something about it that felt right. I just needed it to be down there. And the beauty is, although the photo is on the her, me as the subject of the photograph isn't. It means I'm straight on, so it just looks a little bit different. Now, having been through my scraps and pulled out all these colours and scraps of paper, I'm now going to start building a page with it. And I'm using a glue that doesn't stick first time, but it is a good glue. It's just a roller stick, and I like to use that because it means I can reposition things, I can move them around, I can shove things under. Works brilliantly for me. Now, I've cut out a scalloped edge, and I'm going to edge that with some ink, some grey ink, just to help the paper stand forward so it doesn't sort of fade into the background and look like it's too stark against the craft cardstock. And the nice thing about building this page from the photo, the way I have, is that I can just pop these little scraps in between things. They don't have to be perfectly positioned. And as you can see, they're not perfectly positioned, but I get to move them around a lot more. I can make those little bits of paper go a lot further. So it actually looks as though I have a scalloped edge going right the way around the photo and framing it, when you and I know I haven't. Now, I'm narrowing down these colourways bit by bit. I've pulled out some that I love the colours of, and others that just didn't work, as you saw right at the beginning. And I'm just cutting things down to see where they fit, to see what will fit. I've got this half doily that I've used the other half somewhere along the line, and I'm going to cut down that little Be Wild and Wander card even further, just so that it fits in that nick there, that hole there, that space. It's going to allow me. It just gives me a better composition, I feel. Now, I have this happiness sticker here and now, so I'm going to stick that in at the top by the end of it. And that's, again, it's a colour decision because I've got this. It works brilliantly with the top that I'm actually wearing on the page. On the photograph. Now, I am starting to embellish a bit more with stickers here. And I've got these lovely little Vicky butterflies, which I'm going to dot 3. And then we're going to move on to some sort of titling. After I've added a ton of enamel dots, because I love enamel dots and a page isn't complete without them. And also, in the habit of using it up, I do have these little gems that are a dark green, and I'm going to scatter those around as well because they work. One final little embellishment here is just this rub-on. Stick it on, get rid of it. It's done, and actually that's also used up that packet, which I'm very pleased about. A couple of extra scraps at the top just to make it look as though everything's in, and then we're titling. So for this particular page, I'm going to title it Mud and Hair Everywhere, because there's mud everywhere. I haven't shaved my armpits, my eyebrows are a mess, so there is mud and hair everywhere, quite literally. And it's a bit of a celebration of the fact that I couldn't be asked to shave my armpits, to be honest. And I'm thinking that I'm going to have mud and hair in this little mini market font, and then I want everywhere in a much larger font. So what I started with was the smaller stickers. They're not working. They're just not right. But I do have a wood grain which works really nicely against craft, which is this one here. But I do not have enough letters to just stick everything down, so I'm going to have to create letters. Now, when I do this, I like to pull out the nearest. So some people for an E will use a 3. I look for the shapes and the sides. So I've pulled out some F's to create my E's. I don't have an R, so I'm using a P with another bit cut out to go down for the theme of the arm of the R. So you can see I'm just creating these letters as I go. And it's really handy when if you do this, I should say, take your time and don't try and stick them down first time every time. You're going to want to move them around a bit. So I got halfway through and then I start sticking them because then I've got a feel for it. I know how I want it to look. I know that it's working as a font and it doesn't look totally out of place. Like I said before, you could use numbers. You can use alternative letters or even a totally alternative title. It's entirely up to you. But I like to build my own letters. It also helps me make my letter stickers go much, much further. So that's it. I'm going to move the butterfly up so that I can get that E in. And that's going to be it. That's the layout. So it's not obvious that I've created these letters, but you can tell that I've created these letters if you look closely or if you know I've done it. I've got a lovely ton of white space bordering that bottom right hand corner. So I've got effectively 3/4 of it is white space. The rest of it is photo and embellishment. I've used up a load of scraps and bits that, you know, weren't doing anything other than sitting there looking pretty. So I really hope this inspires you to use up some scraps, maybe create some letters using your alphabet to make them go a bit further, and just have fun. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.